All right, welcome everybody. It's Joey Remenyi here from Seeking Balance Australia, and I'm really excited to be talking with Nahdia. So welcome to the call, Nahdia.
Thank you.
And she's called in from the UK, and she has gone through the Rocksteady and Beautiful Balance process, and she has a beautiful human story that I really want to share. So it's just a delight that you've agreed to do this.
It's absolutely my pleasure, Joey.
Yeah. So I was wondering, do you want to start from the beginning and the search? And I think a lot of people listening will understand that yearning for answers and that search for something, and often they are online Googling. So do you want to talk about how you came to start this journey?
Sure. So I came to start this journey. I had just left a job, a career where I'd been working there for quite a long time. And so I was a bit of a kind of a crossroads around what I wanted to do next. And it was creating some feelings and thoughts and emotions inside me, I think, which were not that positive. I then developed a real keen sensation in my ears, which I identified as tinnitus. Now, whether or not as all of us know, that when you're Googling on the internet, you can come up with 100 things, and it's probably not that recommended. But hey, I wouldn't have met Joey actually if I hadn't done that. So I had the situation whereby I had a bit of discomfort with lots of sounds in my ears, that feeling of not feeling in myself. And I took it upon myself to say, I'm in this position where I need to kind of take control of that and try to understand what's happening. So as I said, I did a bit of Googling again, and there's a lot out there. And I think that's always a bit frightening. And not very good for anybody's kind of anxiety levels in terms of what is potentially out there. I came across, couldn't actually tell you how I came across Joey. I think I actually saw, Joey, one of your YouTube videos first. And I kind of warmed to you because you were coming at it from a situation in which you were very holistic in your approach, which for me was really valuable. So you weren't giving me a golden ticket or a silver bullet to say, I'm going to get rid of all of those sounds in your ears, or I'm going to make you feel 100% amazing again. Or then there wasn't the kind of scare stories out there around how these situations can get out of control. So for me, actually having somebody there who was approaching it from a very holistic way was really valuable. And I took a bit of time to kind of look at your website. And for me, the fact that there are so many resources that are kind of, in a sense, free and behind a paywall, and it's really, really good to get a sense of what it is that was available out there, really gave me the confidence. And, I was just able to really feel quite comfortable quite quickly with what was available and what was on offer.
I remember when we first met, you emailed me and, we arranged for that initial consultation.
Sure.
And even for me, I felt like you knew me.
Yeah, I know, it was weird.
Yeah, which is a really nice feeling.
Yeah, it was that connection was there. And I, when I think back on that, I was in a very emotional place then. I think the first kind of probably 2 sessions even, that the emotions were very, very much on top of the surface in terms of how I was saying. So the tryst was there quite early on, but it took me a bit of time to get into the motion of what it's like to have that safe space to share.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So actually having the program and having that opportunity to build that relationship with myself in terms of what I wanted to get out of these sessions was as important as building that trust with you, in a sense. So it was the commitment, I think.
Yeah. And so I think you also said it ran in your family as well. Your mother had tinnitus and things. So there was also that thing of, am I doomed? So
Yeah,
can you,
absolutely.
I'm also conscious your computer's bouncing, which might be quite
Sure.
disturbing for people who have got current dizziness. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
But can you speak a little bit about how you feel in your body now? What's your relationship to your sensations? Do you have any symptoms? How are you feeling now in terms of, you came for the tinnitus. Where are you at now?
The tinnitus is still there. I'm aware of it to the point that I know when it's quite loud or it feels like it's more present. But I'm managing it, and I'm managing it through acknowledging that it's there,
Mm-hmm.
but not allowing it to take over me, and being in touch with my senses, and thinking about when I feel like there is almost a period where it's taking over me a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
can resort back to my exercises and try to bring my body back into balance, and kind of focus on it less, actually.
And how does
Um,
that, and talk people through what that gives you? So how do you feel? Does that, if you go back to that space of feeling the search and the anxiety and the kind of depression, anxiety prone area,
yeah,
and now you're sitting on the other side of the fence, and I know you're sort of moving into a new career and things are happening.
yeah,
How do you
absolutely.
feel in terms of that independence and getting life back? And speak to that, because I think a lot of people feel that, there's this nothing works. And I think, well, what does work mean? When
Yeah,
you're
I think
feeling,
it's there's a couple of things there. I think the one big piece is around acceptance.
yep.
That there are going to be times where that noise is slightly louder, and there are times where, to be honest, I don't notice it at all.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely not aware of it being there. So some of it is around acceptance, and I think the message that I want to give to anybody who's suffering is that you almost have to believe in yourself that things will get better. And I know it's quite hard at this stage because you can't make that leap, but it is kind of submitting yourself to your own recovery,
Mm.
and saying that things are going to get better. So in terms of how I feel now, there are days where you don't feel quite right. There are days where the noise is a bit louder, but I kind of console myself into thinking, this shall pass. This will pass. It's a bit intense today. What are the reasons for that? And I think that's where the work, Joey, that you and I have been doing around really focusing on what your body's telling you.
Yeah.
About what's happening. What is the kind of external stimulus as well as your internal stimulus? What's happening inside you as well as what's happening outside of you. I'm getting much better at picking up on that, and then thinking, okay, that's kind of what's happening there, and this will pass and it will get better. But it's something that you have to keep on. It's the piece that you talk about, Joey, about neuroplasticity. It is something you have to keep on practicing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen overnight. And if you think, we've been working for quite a period of time
Mm-hmm.
over this, it does, it does take a bit of time for you to actually start to see some of those benefits. Some of them are quite immediate.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those, it's only when I look back and I reflect and I see where I've come that I
Yeah.
realize that it's through the constant finding the right exercises for yourself, finding the right physical space for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
creating that kind of environment around you, um, toxicity and those types of things, that you really start to see the benefits.
And I want you to talk a little bit about how your relationship to yourself has changed in this process and how that's impacted on your life. So we've still got Nahdia, we've still got some tinnitus, we've still got some not quite right feelings, but suddenly
Yeah.
there's no drama. So can you talk about the relationship to yourself?
So I think the relationship to myself is, and I'm probably not unique in this, and people watching this will probably could in some cases relate to it. But I've always been quite hard on myself. And I think I've never really understood the connection between how you feel mentally and how it impacts you physically.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, so for me, what I've learned about myself is that I need to believe in myself, and I need to trust myself and what my body is telling me, in a sense, or what my mind is telling me. What is this, when I have the noise, what is the noise telling me?
Yeah.
So I've learned to trust myself more, to say that rather than fear it, rather than fear those physical manifestations, whichever way they are,
Yeah.
what is my body trying to tell me? So I've
And
learned to trust myself a lot more.
yeah, and what a gift. And I just want to reiterate that a lot of us are hard on ourselves. And,
Yeah.
I've also gone through that process of learning to befriend myself. And it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily happen overnight. These are very old habits and old inner dialogues that
Yes.
we're potentially not even aware of. And then once we learn about them, we've got to reset them and reshift them. And
exactly.
And so I want to ask you something about your heart, because you've got a really big heart, and it's been such a joy hearing what's coming out of your wisdom and your soulfulness and your purpose. And, you're so connected to, justice and human rights, and looking at the global issues. And so we've spoken at depth on some really beautiful, big human topics. And I want to talk about the link between doing this work, listening to yourself, kind of making peace with your inner world.
Yeah.
And then how that extends into the outer world and your heart, and that body, mind, heart kind of intersect.
Sure. And I think it's really, it's probably not something that I had realized was such a big part of who I am as a person, until we started to talk about it in our sessions and in our time together. That for me, I feel that when I'm connected to the aspect of my heart that connects me to the world, I'm in a much better place. And when I can articulate that, I'm in a lot more of a centered space, and naturally that feeling of not quite right is less there, because I'm talking about things that mean something quite that are quite close to me. So yeah, it's been really useful to make that connection, and I don't think I would have made that connection if I hadn't had the opportunity to really think about why it's such an important aspect of the way I want to live my life, and my relationship, to be honest, with the planet, in a sense. With this world that we're in, with the people inside the world that we're in, and what my kind of role is in that. This sounds very philosophical and big kind of ideas, but it's how I kind of bring purpose to myself, actually, is understanding how I fit into that whole ecosystem.
Well, I mean, I totally feel that myself. And I remember back in my yoga days studying lots of yoga poses and whatnot. And I remember thinking, I wonder what it would be like to be like a little tiny cell in my thigh, like a thigh muscle cell.
Yeah.
It's just one tiny little piece of a muscle, which is one tiny piece of an upper leg, part of a whole leg, part of a whole body. It's a tiny piece within a bigger whole.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like every human is a tiny little cell in the organism of Mother Earth, and collectively we create these muscles and these countries and these communities. And so the interconnectedness and the oneness, I think, is really relevant for healing and holistic health, and looking at the whole includes, in my mind, being a part of Mother Earth and nature.
It does. And I think sometimes it helps take the attention off yourself.
Yeah.
And allows you to understand that I think one of the things as well in going out and doing the research, in trying to heal myself, in talking to you, um, it's encouraged me to go out there and also talk to other people about some of the things that they're going through.
Yeah.
You actually realize that, uh, you know, there are a lot of people struggling out there with
Yeah.
different things, different kind of mental or physical manifestations and of their symptoms and what they're going through. So it makes you feel less alone, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not just you,
Yeah.
which can often be the case when you don't reach out and you don't seek help.
Mm-hmm.
Just ruminate in your own mind
Mm-hmm.
what you're going through, and everybody else to you seems like they've got their life under control, and they don't get this feeling.
Yeah.
So it encourages you to reach out to others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And share the journey.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to kind of finish up by, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have been able to. But do you have any closing words, or do you feel that you arrived at the place you wanted to arrive at? And how does that feel moving forwards and independently problem solving?
Yeah. I think what I've realized is that this is a journey. I've made a lot of progress along that journey. I've learned a lot about myself. Have I arrived at the point that I wanted to arrive at? I've arrived at the point where I can manage my symptoms of tinnitus and not feeling quite right. But I think this has opened me up to so many different things and ways in which I talk to my body and myself,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to carry these skills and this dialogue with me now, hopefully for the rest of my life. So for me, it's a continuous kind of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I hope to stay in touch with the community, get more involved, with the Seeking Balance community via you,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to really build on that.
Yeah, and it's also this thing of, we don't have to eliminate those feelings in order to be
No,
healed. Because like,
no.
even if I'm super busy and I'm working heaps and I'm like, cooking meals here and delivering things there, and I'm just squeezing too much into my life, I'll get loud tinnitus and I'll start to feel a bit dizzy or wonky because I'm not respecting my body's boundaries. And so I don't think any of us are immune to the intermittency of the body communicating.
Yes.
And as a lot of people, when they start to, I suppose, look at it differently, they start to realize, oh, that actually can be quite helpful. It's a bit of a dashboard indicator.
Yes.
And now I
Yes.
know what to do about it. There's no fear. There's no big deal. I'm fully empowered.
And I think it's that kind of, as you say, having a sense check, and as much as is possible in life, is being slightly in control of the situation rather than it being in control of you.
Yeah.
So healing is healing in the sense that it's difficult, it's not easy, but it's much better once you're going through that process, and once you're through that process, than when you're not really doing anything constructive about it. That's a really not a very nice place to be in, actually.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, it's the difficult bit's probably choosing to do it, but once we're actually in
Yes.
it, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
super
Yeah.
kind of gentle. When you think about the actual neuroplasticity, it's kind of effortless
Yes.
and easy. It's the choosing to go there.
It's the
But that
choosing to
little
go
hurdle.
there, yeah, and invest in yourself in a way that, at times, if you're, this all depends on your experience, and the things that you've done in your life, in a sense. But it can feel quite self-indulgent if you're not used to having that time to really reflect upon yourself. And I think it's so easy to think, I would go and see a specialist, they will cure my situation. And that, that's not to say, you won't ever need that kind of help and support. But sometimes it's the investment that you put into these types of things that deliver you so, far greater dividends over a longer period of time than, just going to see a doctor and complaining about something which, as I said, to be honest, there isn't a magic cure.
Yeah, well, the vertigo and tinnitus signals are coming from our inner world. So they're invisible. No one else can hear them or see them, and a doctor can't necessarily pinpoint them either.
Yeah.
So they're not an external thing that the external world can, it's not like a splinter you can remove from the foot.
No, that's it. And understanding that. And I think what for me was really attractive about Seeking Balance was that you didn't, or you don't focus on saying that's irrelevant, that side is irrelevant. There is a science behind it.
Oh yeah.
There is a rigor behind it, and your own background, kind of fits in with that. But it was, as I said, the really holistic approach which was really, really locked me in and really kept me going.
And you did a beautiful job. So it was really.
Thank you.
I know it was. I felt like we always had so much fun on our calls. Like
we did.
You've got such a big heart, and that was just so evident. Which is, thank you so much for showing up. And starting March 26th, we've got live calls coming on, which Nahdia may or may not join us for some of them. There's 6 calls. You're welcome to all of them.
Yeah, there's always the time difference that's a bit of a challenge for me here in the UK, but yeah, I will make every effort.
Yeah, no, I'll have a few people from the UK, I'm sure, joining. But that's Brilliant. The live Rocksteady. So we'll all be going through the Rocksteady program, which you're very familiar with, and we're going to have 1 call per module. So starting March 26th and finishing May 3rd. So hopefully lots of people will come forth and be brave and share their stories, share their insights, ask questions. And so we can all learn from each other and with each other in that community, live community environment.
Absolutely. And that's really valuable.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Big love and stay warm.
No, thank you, Joey. Thank you. And I hope this helps people who are thinking of how to approach this and how to think about how they heal and how they feel better in themselves.
Absolutely. I'm sure every human story adds to the big collective. So
it does.
wonderful.
It does.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.